The future of the Jasper power plant has become more clear. We'll tell you why. Plus, a well-known motivational speaker will be at each DuBois County High School next week. And Purdue Extension educator Jan Dugan is tonight's guest on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. The future of the former Jasper power plant site is a step closer to being determined. Last night, the Jasper Utility Service Board approved sending out bid packets to salvage companies who would buy the plant for scrap. The recommendation was made by the board's electric committee following their meeting last week. Now, Utilities General Manager Bud Hauersperger says more than 20 expressions of interest had been sent out for the property, but only a few of those were returned. Hauersperger says those firms that did return them had asked the city to buy power from them. The city can't do that because of its contract with the Indiana Municipal Power Agency. Thus, Hauersperger says the most viable options came from the salvage companies. Hauersperger says the salvage option is not necessarily the way the city wanted to go with the power plant.
I'm disappointed that we couldn't make it work. If anybody, most people that have gone out and toured the plant have come back thinking, wow, we should be able to do something with this. It's the cleanest coal plant anybody's ever seen, and it's been well maintained. And we hope there would be some value there for somebody to use it.
The board also heard that IMPA has asked the city to write off the value of the power plant and the property since it's not been used for nearly 7 years. The value of the plant and property has been reported at $3.3 million. In other business, the board heard an update on the spillway reconstruction at Beaver Lake. Hauersperger told the board his original hope was for construction on the project to begin this spring. However, he says the work will now be postponed until Labor Day. Hauersperger says the Indiana Department of Environmental Management has had some delays with permits to allow for work on the spillway to begin. He says though that process could be done inside of a week, other factors made it a better idea to move construction back to later this year.
Originally, we thought we could get it done by around the 1st of July, but with discussions with the Parks Department and looking at kind of the stringent timeline, they thought it'd be better to go ahead and keep the lake basically at the level it is now, or the summer level, throughout the whole summer and springtime, and that would just give more opportunity for recreation out there than shutting it down until July, and then you'd only have July through Labor Day to really use the lake at full capacity.
Hauersperger says once construction does begin, work will be done in about 3 months. In final notes, the board held its reorganization meeting last night. Rick Stradner was elected as chairman, replacing Wayne Sheeter. Doug Schulte became vice chairman, and new board member Roger Sang was voted in as secretary. Sheeter, who had been the chairman for the last 5 years, will now serve as the city's electric commissioner. All other positions on the board are the same as they were for 2014. An insurance fraud investigation spanning several months ended with a Huntingburg woman's arrest on felony charges. Back in October of last year, Huntingburg Police Detective Sergeant Christian Gogol began investigating insurance fraud incidents involving a Sarah Ann Hernandez. Gogol says the incidents dated back as far as June of 2012. After further investigation, Gogol found that 42-year-old Bernice Barrientos Galeana was working at a local furniture factory using Sarah Ann Hernandez's name and date of birth. She was also using a fake driver's license to get insurance. Gogol says the insurance provided by the factory to its employees had gotten its information from Jasper's Memorial Hospital and then contacted the company. At about 7 o'clock last night, Gogol and DuBois County Sheriff's Deputy Jesus Moneras spoke with Barrientos Galeana at the Huntingburg Police Station to further investigate. Barrientos Galeana was then taken into custody at about 8 o'clock last night. Barrientos Galeana was lodged in the DuBois County Security Center on a level 6 felony for synthetic identity deception. She posted bond early this morning. Officials with the Indiana Department of Transportation have announced the closing of a railroad crossing along State Road 257 in Pike County beginning next week. The department says crews with Norfolk Southern Railroad will close the highway to do repairs at the railroad crossing in Velpen. The closure will start on or after this upcoming Monday, January 26th. Now, local traffic will have access up to the railroad crossing, and at that point, NDOT says all lanes will be closed and through traffic will not be allowed. Heavy highway traffic will be detoured over State Roads 56, 61, and 64. Updates on the project will be posted on NDOT's TrafficWise Traveler Information site, which is ndot.carsprogram.org. For social media updates, you can follow NDOT Southwest's Facebook and Twitter pages. The Du Bois County Sheriff's Department has partnered with all 4 Du Bois County high schools for a motivational speaker. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, the department says Janie Burkett Harrison will be speaking at each of the 4 high schools. Next Tuesday, Harrison will speak at Du Bois High School from 8 to 9 a.m. and at Forest Park High School from 1 till 2 p.m. Then on Wednesday, Harrison will speak at Jasper High School from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. She'll be at Southridge from 1 till 2 p.m. Now, Harrison's life testimonials at each of the high schools are aimed at students. The public is invited to attend free of charge. Harrison will also be talking to inmates at the Du Bois County Security Center in a private presentation. The daughter of a pastor, Harrison chose a life of bulimia, drug addiction, and alcoholism as a teenager. That led to her being imprisoned at the age of 22. She was paroled after 18 months, though she was still dealing with her addictions. She then received a 40-year prison sentence after she broke her probation in December of 2008. 6 weeks after that sentence, Harrison went to a rehabilitation center and has since become an author and speaker. Harrison's passion is to help people and their families who are affected by drug or alcohol addiction. For more information, you can go online to janieburkett.com. Expenses for this were covered by the Inmate Commissary Fund and a grant from the Du Bois County Community Foundation. The Spencer County Tourism Commission is set to award grants coming up this spring. The commission says $5,000 in grants will be available to not-for-profit groups whose work is related to tourism efforts. The grants will be awarded to those organizations, events, or entities that promote tourism throughout Spencer County. The event or project that funding is requested for must increase visitor attendance from outside of the immediate area. Commission President Eric Snow says the county has enjoyed a recent boom in tourism offerings for visitors. He says the grant program is designed to foster that development while maintaining Spencer County's position as a top area destination for tourists. The county is currently home to nationally known attractions including Holiday World and Splash and Safari, Lake Rudolph Campground and RV Resort, and Lincoln's Indiana Boyhood Home with national and state parks. For more information or to get an application, you can call the Spencer County Visitors Bureau at 937-4199. The deadline for completed applications is March 30th. Authorities are continuing to look into the disappearance of a Bloomfield woman who has been missing for almost a month. Indiana State Police detectives are working to figure out what might have happened to 18-year-old Marina Beltre. Beltre was last seen on New Year's Eve getting into a 4-door between 2009 and 2011 model year Mercury Milan outside of the Bloomfield IGA where she worked. State police say the person of interest with the car had been described as a heavy-set white man in his 40s or 50s. Now, state police say all leads have been exhausted in this area. No further tips or information are needed relating to the vehicle or the man. State police are continuing to follow up on any new leads or information that they get, however. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the Indiana State Police Bloomington Post at 332-4411. You can also contact Sergeant Kurt Durno via the Bloomington Post's Facebook and Twitter pages with any information. All tips can remain anonymous. Now, Beltre was last seen wearing blue jeans with rhinestone designs on the back pockets, a black and purple jacket, and Nike tennis shoes described as white with a pink swoosh and black trim. You can continue to help in the efforts by going to facebook.com/find Marina Beltre. Indiana State Police say an arrest has been made in the death of a pregnant Sullivan woman who went missing back in November. Authorities say 32-year-old Jonas Luke Orr of Sullivan was arrested yesterday afternoon and charged with 2 counts of murder in the death of 20-year-old Tiffany Adams. Sullivan County Sheriff Clark Cottom says Orr is Adams' stepbrother. Adams was originally reported missing on November 7th. She was last seen November 5th, walking from her father's home to her mother's house, nearly 1 block away. Her body was found December 30th by a farmer harvesting corn in a field northeast of Sullivan. Authorities say that Adams was almost 8 months pregnant at the time of her death. Sullivan County Prosecutor John Springer has not released details of the case against Orr, who is in jail without bond. Anyone with more information can report that to Sullivan County Sheriff Clark Cottom at 812-268-4044. All callers may remain anonymous. And finally tonight, the Indiana Department of Revenue has joined the Internal Revenue Service in opening the 2015 individual income tax filing season and the processing of tax returns. The department announced yesterday that a customer call center is now available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can call that center at 317-232-2240. The phone line also supports Spanish-speaking taxpayers and says that last year, taxpayers waited an average of only 2 minutes and 45 seconds to have their questions answered by the call center. It says taxpayers also can submit general questions through the department's Facebook or Twitter accounts. However, taxpayers should never send personal information such as social security numbers through social media. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Jan Dugan. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.